theater in general began out of people's need to express their birth and their death and their relationship to their unconscious and to the great mysteries of the world, to their gods and to their relationships in life and their own birth and their own death. And I think all theater was born there. But because puppet and mask theater still uses the forms of masks and dolls and these idol kind of figures, in some ways they're closer to that form. Puppet theater is really a rather passionate, sensuous occupation because you start with that mud. And that mud, just like seeds begin in that mud and grow, you literally take that mud, the clay, and form it and sculpt it into these faces and bodies and shapes that emerge right out of the mud. The first major long show that I did with the puppet theater was "The Grass Will Grow and the River Flow," and the title of it comes from one of the major treaties that was signed of the Native people with the United States government, promising that this treaty would hold as long as the grass will grow and the river flow, which of course seems like it would be forever.
We were trying to go to a deeper well that included silence, a different level of motion, a different aesthetic, a largeness of character but a smallness of ego, a different kind of story. The pace of these shows often seems very unmodern. It's slow, it's not about action, nothing blows up. It is a kind of witnessing. At its best, it's a kind of prayer. At its worst, it can just be dull. Both of those things can happen. But it is, in a sense, a quest for spirit.
Christmas is one time of the year that it's a big celebration, and many people have felt lost at how to celebrate it. And it doesn't mean anything for people anymore, and they want it to mean something. I know that was true for me, speaking very personally. And it's because I think that a very important story in the world, whether it's the Christian story or a solstice story or from many other cultures, is that story of the infant light being born in the darkness.
She lived by herself in her little house on a hill near a town. Each night she went out to gather sticks for the fire because it was a cold time of year.
I can't even remember how many versions of La Befana we've done. Certainly each time we've done it, it changes, but then we went from this 4-person version into like this 11-person version, and then we went back to a 6-person version that was this touring show. And then once we moved into the Avalon, then it became this larger show again. La Befana is the heroine who has to go on this journey. Her journey is to find the Holy Child. And of course, she's looking for it outside of herself. And first she travels in her own region, and then she ends up traveling around the world, and then her search takes 2,000 years, and finally it brings her back to her own home again. And her search brings her to this realization that all children are holy, that holiness lives in each one of us. And then she asks the question, even me? Which is, you know, the essential part, coming way back just to your home.
What? All children are holy?
I am.
Oh, all children are holy.
Some people in some places, I think, are like seed carriers or fire carriers from one dark place to the next, from one garden patch to the next. Heart of the Beast is that. It's keeping something very, very important alive that may bear fruit in a way that none of us can imagine in another 10 or 15 or 20 years.
The Heart of the Beast represents hope to me. It represents a continuation of some kind of ethic and some kind of sense of responsibility to not only your art form, but to the people who are coming to see it, and then to teach it so that other people will be able to do it after we've moved on.
Really, one of the most important things, I think, is its ability to be a place and a forum for people to come together and to explore images, old stories, new images, the new influences on our life, to look at them deeply, sometimes humorously, to look right into their face of the horror and the wonder, and to inspire people to create.